There is an invisible tapestry being woven around your life, a divine masterpiece so intricate and so profound that its details often escape our mortal gaze. What if the struggles you've faced, the betrayals you've endured, and the unexpected losses that shattered your heart were not mere happenstance, but deliberate acts of grace? What if every door that slammed shut was not rejection but protection? Pause for a moment and ask yourself, how many times have you grieved over people walking away, never suspecting that their departure was a blessing in disguise? How often have you fought to hold on to relationships that were silently draining the very essence of your soul? And how many times have you questioned why certain individuals turned cold, only to discover later that their intentions toward you were anything but pure? The truth is, we live in a world where harm often masquerades as friendship, and betrayal wears the mask of loyalty. Yet there is a force of divine sentinel that shields us in ways we seldom understand. It is subtle but steadfast, a guardian working tirelessly behind the veil of our understanding. When you are chosen, when your life holds a purpose that transcends the ordinary, this protection becomes not only a gift but a necessity. Consider this: have you ever felt an inexplicable unease in someone's presence, as though your very spirit recoiled in their shadow? Have you ever experienced a sudden rupture in a relationship that seemed unbreakable, leaving you bewildered and broken? These are not coincidences, these are whispers of divine intervention, subtle warnings etched into the fabric of your existence to guide you away from harm. But why, you might wonder, does protection often come wrapped in the pain of loss? Why does the hand of God sometimes feel like the edge of a blade, cutting away what we hold dear? It is because we, in our limited vision, often fail to recognize danger when it cloaks itself in familiarity. We cling to the familiar even when it stifles us, because stepping into the unknown feels far more terrifying than enduring the poison we know. God's protection is not always gentle, it can be abrupt, startling, even painful. Yet it is always purposeful. Like a master sculptor chipping away at a block of marble, he removes what is unnecessary to reveal the masterpiece within. The question is, can you trust the process? Can you surrender to the idea that every rejection, every betrayal, and every broken connection might be God's way of saving you from harm you cannot yet see? Reflect for a moment on the relationships in your life. Are there people whose presence leaves you drained rather than uplifted? Have you noticed patterns of conflict or deceit that persist despite your best efforts to resolve them? And most importantly, can you discern the moments when something beyond your understanding has stepped in to remove these people from your path? This is the essence of divine protection, a love so profound that it acts even when you cannot see or understand its purpose. It is a shield that guards your heart and soul from the toxic influences that would derail your destiny. Yet it requires something from you: faith. Faith that even when the road is rough and the losses feel unbearable, you are being guided, protected, and prepared for something far greater. And so, as we embark on this journey together, let us explore the unmistakable signs that God is actively protecting you from harmful people. These signs are not arbitrary, they are deliberate messages woven into your life story. Recognizing them requires stillness, discernment, and a willingness to let go of what no longer serves you. Each sign is a revelation, a clue in the grand puzzle of your life. Together, we will uncover the ways in which God shields you, often without your knowledge, from the forces that seek to harm you. Pay close attention, for these signs are not just a reflection of His love, they are a call to trust, to surrender, and to rise above the illusions of this world. One they leave without explanation. Have you ever experienced someone suddenly walking out of your life, leaving behind an emptiness that feels impossible to fill? Their departure stings like a fresh wound, and the absence of an explanation makes it hurt even more. You replay every moment, searching for answers, wondering what went wrong, and questioning if you could have done something differently. Yet, As painful as it feels, this unexplained departure may not be a rejection of you, but a divine intervention. It could be God's way of protecting you from harm you cannot yet see. In Proverbs 3:5-6, we are reminded to trust in the Lord with all our heart and lean not on our own understanding. This verse holds the key to making sense of these moments when someone leaves your life unexpectedly. It may be because God sees something you don't. He knows the future paths of all individuals, the intentions buried deep in their hearts, and the unseen consequences of their continued presence in your life. Their departure is not an act of cruelty, but one of divine mercy. Imagine being on a path, walking confidently toward your goals, only to encounter a person who seems like a friend or ally. You trust them, share your dreams with them, and build a bond. But unbeknownst to you, they carry within them seeds of jealousy, deceit, or ill intentions. You can't see it, they hide it well, but God does. He hears the conversations you aren't part of, sees the betrayal brewing in their hearts, and understands how their influence might derail you from your purpose. So he steps in and removes them from your path, sometimes abruptly, because leaving them there would cause you more pain in the long run. It's natural to feel hurt and confused when this happens. We are creatures of connection, and losing someone, especially without understanding why, can feel like a failure. But Isaiah 55:8-9 tells us, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord." What feels like a loss to you is often a gain in His greater plan for your life. Trust that their absence creates space for the people and opportunities God intends for you. Resist the urge to chase after those who leave without explanation. Like Lot's wife, who looked back and turned to salt in Genesis 19:26, clinging to what God has removed can paralyze your progress. Instead, pray for clarity and the strength to move forward. Reflect on the peace that often follows these departures, even if it's delayed. That peace is God's confirmation that their removal was for your protection. 2. Their true colors are revealed. At some point, you may have been shocked by someone's betrayal, lie, or sudden change in behavior. This person could have been a close friend, partner, or family member, and their actions left you feeling blindsided. It's as though a mask they wore for so long suddenly slipped, revealing a side of them you never thought existed. As painful as it is, this moment is not a tragedy, it's a revelation. It's God pulling back the curtain to show you the truth. Jeremiah 17:9 tells us, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately sick. Who can understand it? Only God can fully know the intentions of others." While we see the surface smiles, kind words, and outward appearances, God sees what's hidden: jealousy, selfishness, or harm waiting to unfold. He allows their true colors to surface, not to hurt you, but to protect you from their unseen motives. Consider the story of Judas Iscariot. For years, Judas walked alongside Jesus, performing miracles and appearing as a loyal disciple. Yet, in the end, his betrayal became a pivotal moment in God's plan. Jesus knew Judas's heart from the beginning, but allowed him to remain until the appointed time when the betrayal would be revealed. Similarly, God allows people to remain in your life for a season, but when their presence threatens your peace, purpose, or spiritual growth, He exposes their true nature. This revelation might come in the form of a harsh word, an unguarded moment, or even a betrayal. At first, it feels like a wound, but it's a gift in disguise. God is showing you who they are so you can make the necessary decisions to protect yourself and move forward. It's His way of removing blinders, so you are no longer deceived by their facade. However, it's not always easy to accept this revelation. Our minds often fight against what our spirits know. We make excuses for their behavior or try to justify their actions. But Psalm 32:8 reminds us, "I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you." God doesn't reveal the truth for you to ignore it. He does it to guide you. When someone's true nature is revealed, don't see it as a failure on your part for not noticing sooner. See it as God's mercy protecting you from deeper harm. It's better to lose someone whose intentions are harmful than to hold on and allow their presence to damage your life further. Trust the process and thank God for loving you enough to expose the truth, even when it's painful. 3. You feel an unexplainable unease around them. Have you ever felt a strange discomfort in the presence of certain people? It's not always something they say or do, it's more subtle than that. It's an inner stirring, a knowing sense that something about them doesn't sit right with your spirit. This unease is not random. It's often a divine nudge. God communicates through the quiet whispers of your intuition, alerting you to dangers that your eyes cannot see. In 1 John 4:1, we are instructed to test the spirit to see whether they are from God. When you experience this inner discomfort, don't dismiss it. It is God speaking to you, trying to guide you away from harm, even if you cannot see it in the moment. These signs are not just reflections of God's love, but are also divine invitations to trust, surrender, and embrace the purpose He has for your life. Recognizing them allows you to grow in faith, to stand firm in your purpose, and to walk confidently into the future He has prepared for you. Not every connection in life is meant to serve your good, no matter how friendly or well-intentioned someone may seem. Harmful individuals often hide their true intentions behind a veil of charm, kindness, or even religious language. However, your spirit, connected to God, has the ability to discern things that your mind cannot. That inner discomfort, the unease you feel, is often God's way of guiding you away from a person or situation that could cause you harm. Consider this every time you've ignored that sense of unease, what followed. For many, overlooking that feeling has led to heartbreak, betrayal, or disappointment. This discomfort isn't just in your imagination, it's divine wisdom. As promised in John 14:26, the Holy Spirit is your helper and guide, revealing truths that might otherwise remain hidden. When you experience that discomfort, don't dismiss it as paranoia or overthinking. Instead, take it to God in prayer. Ask Him for clarity and the courage to act on what He reveals to you. You might wonder why God doesn't always make the danger obvious, why He doesn't show you people's hidden intentions outright. The answer lies in faith and obedience. God often allows subtle signs like discomfort to test your willingness to trust Him. Psalm 25:9 says, He guides the humble in what is right and teaches them His way. Your unease is an invitation to lean into His wisdom and seek His guidance, rather than relying solely on what you see or feel. Sometimes that unease intensifies when you're about to make a critical decision involving that person. You might feel anxious, restless, or even physically drained in their presence. These aren't mere coincidences, they are alarms. God is showing you that this connection is not aligned with His purpose for your life. Trusting this signal can spare you unnecessary pain and keep you on the path He has designed for you. Don't dismiss these feelings out of fear of being wrong. It is better to distance yourself from someone who causes discomfort than to stay and endure the harm they might bring. Pray for discernment and courage, trusting that God will confirm whether your unease is a warning or a momentary trial. Remember, He is your protector, guiding you away from unseen dangers and toward peace. True relationships, whether they are friendships or partnerships, should encourage your growth, celebrate your victories, and support your God-given purpose. However, sometimes you will encounter people who seem to resist your progress. They may downplay your achievements, criticize your goals, or subtly plant seeds of doubt in your mind. This resistance is not harmless, it is a spiritual red flag. When someone consistently opposes your growth, it is often God's way of revealing that their presence is holding you back. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 reminds us of the value of supportive relationships. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. Those who resist your growth are not helping you rise, they are keeping you stagnant. They might do it out of jealousy, fear, or their inability to envision a future where you succeed beyond them. Whatever their reasons, their resistance is not from God, and their influence is harmful to your journey. Reflect on the people in your life. Do they celebrate your victories, no matter how small? Or do they meet your success with indifference or negativity? God desires relationships that reflect His love and support. Those who resist your growth are often tools the enemy uses to create self-doubt, discouragement, or complacency. Their words may linger in your mind, making you second-guess your decisions. This resistance can slow down the work God is doing in your life. God often exposes these individuals over time, allowing their patterns of resistance to become clear. You might notice that they belittle your dreams, question your decisions, or suggest that your goals are too ambitious. Their resistance can take the form of subtle remarks or outright discouragement. Either way, it's a sign that their presence is not aligned with your purpose. In Jeremiah 29:11, God promises, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Those who resist your growth are not part of these plans. They hinder the blessings God wants to pour into your life. Their resistance is a sign that their chapter in your story needs to close. When you encounter resistance, don't allow it to derail your journey. Instead, take it as a signal to reevaluate the relationship. Pray for wisdom and ask God to reveal whether this person is meant to walk alongside you or if it's time to let them go. Trust that His plans for you are greater than any resistance you face, and that He will provide the right people to support your growth and success. Have you ever been in a relationship that feels like a constant uphill battle? No matter how much effort you put in, the other person doesn't seem to reciprocate. You give, but they take. You listen, but they dismiss you. This dynamic leaves you drained, questioning your worth, and wondering why things never seem to balance out. A one-sided or forced relationship is not just exhausting, it may be a sign that God is calling you to let it go. In Matthew 11:28, Jesus invites us, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Relationships, while requiring effort, should not feel like a perpetual source of weariness. When a connection becomes so one-sided that it drains your emotional, mental, and spiritual energy, it is no longer a blessing, it has become a burden. God, in His infinite wisdom, does not want you bound by something that depletes you rather than replenishes you. Often we cling to such relationships out of fear of being alone, fear of failure, or fear of losing someone we've invested so much in. But in doing so, we overlook an important truth: God sees what we cannot. He knows the hidden cost of staying in these unbalanced relationships. While we focus on holding on, He is preparing us for something or someone better. Consider the biblical story of Samson and Delilah in Judges 16. Samson was a man chosen by God, blessed with extraordinary strength to fulfill a divine purpose. Yet his relationship with Delilah was anything but mutual. She manipulated, deceived, and ultimately betrayed him, using his love for her as a tool to bring him down. This one-sided dynamic cost Samson greatly, but it also serves as a powerful reminder. When a relationship becomes a source of harm rather than growth, it is often a signal from God to let it go. One-sided relationships may operate under the guise of love or friendship, but they thrive on imbalance. You may find yourself constantly apologizing, compromising, or lowering your standards to keep the peace. Meanwhile, the other person offers little in return. This imbalance is not what God intends for your life. In Amos 3:3, we are asked, "Can two walk together? Unless they are agreed, true relationships require mutual respect, effort, and alignment." Sometimes, the forced nature of a relationship stems from trying to fit someone into a role they were never meant to play in your life. Not everyone you meet is destined to walk with you on your journey. Some are meant to teach you lessons or help you grow, but not every connection is permanent. Forcing a relationship out of fear or attachment goes against God's design. He wants you to walk in freedom, not bondage. If you find yourself in a one-sided or forced relationship, take it as a sign to seek God's guidance. Pray for clarity and strength to release what no longer serves your purpose. Trust in His promise from Psalm 84:11, "The Lord will withhold no good thing from those who walk uprightly." Letting go of a draining relationship is not losing, it is making room for the blessings He has prepared for you. Have you ever noticed that some relationships seem to be marked by constant conflict and barriers? No matter how hard you try to make things work, misunderstandings persist, arguments flare up, and circumstances seem to conspire against the connection. While occasional disagreements are natural, a relationship filled with repeated turmoil and unresolved issues is often a sign that it's not meant to be. These conflicts are not mere coincidences, they may be God's way of protecting you from a path that isn't aligned with His purpose for your life. In 1 Corinthians 14:33 it says, "For God is not a God of confusion but of peace." When a relationship is filled with chaos, it is worth asking whether it aligns with God's will. Harmful people often bring disorder into your life, distracting you from your goals and diminishing your peace. Persistent barriers and conflicts could be God's way of nudging you to reevaluate the relationship. Think about the Israelites wandering in the wilderness. God placed barriers before them, not to punish them, but to guide them toward the promised land. Similarly, when obstacles arise in a relationship, it's often a sign that God is steering you away from something or someone that isn't meant for you. These barriers might come in many forms: constant miscommunication, disagreements about values, or even external circumstances that prevent the relationship from moving forward. The human tendency is to resist these signs. We try harder, compromising our values, sacrificing our peace, and ignoring the growing weight of frustration. But Romans 8:28 reminds us, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. Sometimes these barriers are His way of protecting you from harm or setting you up for something better. What feels like resistance is often redirection. It's also important to recognize the spiritual toll that constant conflict takes. Relationships should uplift and inspire, not drain your energy or make you question your worth. If a relationship is marked by persistent conflict and barriers, take it as a sign to seek God's wisdom and direction. He will guide you toward peace, away from confusion, and into relationships that are aligned with His purpose for your life. Your worth is precious, and harmful people often thrive in chaos, creating problems to maintain control or divert attention from their flaws. This cycle keeps you stuck, unable to focus on the purpose God has for your life. By allowing these conflicts to persist, you may unintentionally delay the blessings that God wants to pour into your life. Ask yourself, are these conflicts leading to growth, or are they tearing you down? Are the barriers helping you reevaluate the connection, or are they making you feel trapped and discouraged? If the answer points to harm rather than healing, it's time to surrender the relationship to God. Philippians 4:7 promises, "And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." Trust that letting go of chaos will lead to His peace. When God allows conflicts and barriers to arise, it's not to hurt you but to protect you. He sees the harm these relationships might cause and is giving you an opportunity to choose a better path. Listen to these signs, seek His guidance, and trust that His plans for you are always for good. When someone exits your life, especially someone you thought would always be there, the initial feelings can be overwhelming grief, confusion, anger, and even regret. You may find yourself questioning why they left, replaying memories, and wishing things could have been different. Yet, as time passes, an unexpected transformation begins to unfold. Where there was once pain, a quiet peace starts to settle. This peace is not a coincidence. It is God's confirmation that their absence was His protection over your life. In John 14:27, Jesus assures us, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." This promise is a cornerstone of understanding why peace follows the removal of harmful people. God doesn't just take something away, He replaces it with something infinitely better. His divine peace. When someone's departure brings you closer to this peace, it is a clear sign that their presence was not part of His plan for your well-being. At first, you might resist this peace, mistaking it for a fleeting distraction from your pain. But over time, it becomes undeniable. The weight you once carried, the constant tension, worry, or confusion tied to that person lifts. You begin to see your life with more clarity and experience a renewed sense of purpose. This is the fruit of God's intervention, a sign that He is healing your heart and aligning your path with His divine will. Consider the story of Jonah in the Bible. When Jonah disobeyed God's command to go to Nineveh, a storm threatened the ship he was on, endangering everyone on board. Only when Jonah was thrown overboard did the storm cease, bringing peace to the sailors. Jonah 1:15. In the same way, some people in our lives are like Jonah in that story. They bring chaos, disruption, and spiritual storms. When God removes them, the storm calms and peace follows. Their absence isn't a punishment, but a deliverance. Sometimes this peace comes with revelations. After someone leaves, you might begin to notice things you were blind to while they were in your life. Perhaps they were draining your energy, sowing seeds of doubt, or subtly steering you away from your purpose. God, in His wisdom, knows when someone's influence has become toxic, even if they outwardly seem kind or supportive. Their removal allows you to see clearly and rediscover your true self. This newfound peace also opens doors to growth. When harmful people occupy your life, they take up space emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Their departure creates room for the relationships, opportunities, and blessings God has been preparing for you. It's like clearing weeds from a garden. Once the weeds are gone, the flowers can bloom. Isaiah 43:19 reminds us, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" God's peace isn't just about what He removes, but about what He's making room for. However, finding peace doesn't mean the journey will be without challenges. You may still face moments of doubt, wondering if you made the right decision in letting go, or if things could have been different. In these moments, cling to Philippians 4:6-7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. God's peace is your confirmation, your safeguard, and your assurance that His plan is always for your good. It's also important to understand that the peace you find isn't just emotional, it's spiritual. It's a reflection of your alignment with God's will. When harmful people leave your life, the space they occupied is filled with His presence, His guidance, and His comfort. This spiritual peace allows you to move forward with confidence, knowing that the season of chaos has ended and a new chapter has begun. Finally, the peace you find after someone leaves can be a testimony. Your story of deliverance and healing can inspire others who are struggling with similar relationships. By sharing how God brought peace into your life, you become a vessel for His grace, encouraging others to trust Him with their own burdens. In the end, this peace is not just a feeling, it's a gift, a promise, and a sign of God's unwavering love for you. It's His way of reminding you that He is in control, that He sees what you cannot, and that His plans are always to prosper you and not to harm you. Jeremiah 29:11. Embrace this peace, let it guide you, and trust that God's protection is leading you to a brighter, more fulfilling future. As we come to the end of this journey together, I want you to pause and reflect on the divine protection that surrounds your life. Each sign we've explored today is a testament to God's unwavering love for you, a love that shields you from harm, even when you don't fully understand it. The sudden departures, the revelations, the inner unease, the resistance to your growth, the one-sided relationships, the persistent conflicts, and the peace that follows their absence, these are not random events. They are deliberate acts of grace woven into your story by the hands of a loving Creator. God's protection is not always gentle. Sometimes it feels like loss, pain, or confusion. But rest assured, His ways are always higher than ours. He sees the dangers we cannot, hears the whispers we do not, and acts in ways we might not immediately appreciate. The relationships He removes, the barriers He allows, and the peace He brings are all part of a greater plan, a plan designed not to harm you but to prosper you, to give you hope and a future. So I urge you to trust Him. Trust that His timing is perfect, His wisdom is infinite, and His protection is constant. When you encounter these signs in your life, do not resist them. Instead, lean into His guidance, seek His presence, and allow Him to lead you away from harm and toward the life He has prepared for you. Remember that every rejection, every closed door, and every moment of discomfort is paving the way for something greater, something better than you could ever imagine. And as you move forward, carry this truth with you. You are not walking this path alone. God is with you, guiding, protecting, and loving you every step of the way. Trust His process, embrace His peace, and know that He is always working for your good. Thank you for joining me today and allowing me to share these powerful signs of God's protection. My prayer for you is that you find clarity, strength, and peace as you navigate your journey. May you always trust in God's wisdom and rest in His unfailing love. If this message has touched your heart or provided you with the guidance you needed, I encourage you to share it with someone else who might benefit from it. Remember, God's plans for you are filled with hope, purpose, and promise. Stay close to Him, and He will direct your path. Until next time, may His peace guard your heart and guide your steps. Thank you, and God bless you.